Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Help Them Bloom. I'm your host, Evelyn Mendel, and today I'm just going to be on here as a solo episode because I think it's important sometimes to get introspective as a parent, as a person, and kind of have some time to reflect. And I'm reflecting today on this trip I took a week ago where I went by myself during spring break to Tel Aviv to visit my brother. And it was really interesting because I got a lot of different reactions from people. Originally, my brother, he was turning 30, so he asked me to come because he was going to throw some party. He was going to celebrate with his friends. He moved there a year ago. And initially, I was like, you know what, I should come. And he was like, you should. And neither of us actually believed that I would. Obviously, I have two kids, a 9-year-old, a 2-year-old, a husband, a dog, a job. My whole life is here, right? So picking up and going across the world seemed like something that moms don't just do. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, maybe I deserve this moment to pause. And I'm going to give myself permission to do so. And so I booked this flight and I booked it during spring break. And it was interesting because there were other mom friends that I had who initially reacted with like disbelief that I could do that, right? So there was a little bit of this like guilt noise coming in about it, where it was like, well, don't you think that you could take your girls? Or another one asked me if I wouldn't be like so sad to be away from her or both of them for a week, especially the little one. And honestly, deep down inside, I was like, I don't really think that I'm sad. Am I supposed to be sad? Like, why am I doing something wrong? Why is everybody around me seem to be going with this narrative that I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing, taking time for myself? So I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about giving yourself permission to pause and why this is a really, really good, beneficial thing to do as a parent. I wanted to address a few key points with you guys of sort of what gets in the way of that. Obviously, sometimes there's a tension that exists between the love that you have for your kids and the things you want to do for them, and the love you have for yourself and the things you want to do for yourself, right? Sometimes we have competing agendas that don't always see eye to eye and clash. So I think it's kind of tricky to navigate which direction to go in sometimes. There's this idea, though, that I want to address, which is the constant self-sacrifice. There's this myth around this martyrdom where being a good parent almost feels like being a concierge parent. That really is what being a good parent is like. It's basically being always available 24/7 as concierge is in a hotel to our kids, always there, always entertaining them. Really this idea of like, it doesn't really matter what I need in the moment. I have to be so focused on my children and being there all of the time. So this is a myth. It came from somewhere, obviously. So the first thing that I would kind of ask is like, where did this belief come from? And it's important for us to sit and reflect on this. Sometimes it's a cultural belief. Sometimes it's a family belief. Sometimes it's actually our own internal guilt or our own programming that kind of says, if I'm not doing a certain thing, then I'm not being worthy enough or good enough, right? So if I'm not always there, always on, always sacrificing, always putting the needs of my children before mine, the needs of my partner before mine, that doesn't make me a good enough parent. That doesn't make me a good enough wife or spouse. So there's this story that we've learned to tell ourselves and to believe that becomes sort of our truth. So when we are going to behave in a way that is incongruent with that story, it can actually trigger a lot of guilt or a lot of shame or a lot of self-doubt too. Another point is that we have to wait all the way until we reach this like burnout point before we start to take care of ourselves. And I was thinking about what metaphor can I share with you today? And obviously this is a very cliche one, but I was like, this actually makes a lot of sense, the empty gas tank, but it makes a lot of sense in my life because I am this person. The last 3 times that I have got into the gas station, I kid you not, I have had between 0 to 1 miles of gas left in the tank. And if you could watch me during those last minutes or seconds getting into the gas station, I am severely stressed, thinking about already how I have to like roll my car probably in there. Just my nervous system is so off. And I'm like, why do I do this to myself? Why, when the warning light comes off, right? When there's still like 30 miles left, it's like, okay, you're kind of reaching that point where you should start to kind of take care of your car. And I just ignore it. And I wait all the way till it's completely empty. There's nothing left to give for me to actually react. And I'm like, this is actually a lot of times pretty much what happens in our lives. We kind of wait all the way until we're in this burnout place. So just like there's burnout in our careers and our jobs, there's also burnout in our parenting. It's called parental burnout. And there's some signs of it. So some signs that we can think about are if we're constantly being irritable, much more irritable than usual around not just our kids, but around everybody. So irritability's up. The other sign could be that we're actually having some emotional numbness. So this I have found sometimes is happening to me with my daughter, especially in the car or even at home when she's having like these really, really severe meltdowns where I don't even feel in this moment anymore. I'm just kind of numb to the situation. Obviously, this is normal, to happen in your day. Obviously, when you're parenting small children, especially where you're going to detach from certain moments, that's normal. But if you're finding that it's very hard for you suddenly to connect on an emotional level to other people, especially your kids, you've probably reached that point of burnout. And then the other one too is when we're fantasizing a lot about like escaping, kind of running away from the situation. So all of these are signs that like we're completely have reached a point of depletion. We're not actually contributing much good to the people around us, and we're really self-neglecting. So we don't want to wait all the way till we're there to say, okay, this is a moment for me to rest and recharge. We really want to start to think about that, almost not even wait until that warning light comes on in the car. Like we almost want to start to implement these pauses or this nurturing of ourselves on a daily basis. Because I think that what we've kind of framed rest for ourselves as a parent is really like when you say I need to rest, it usually comes from I feel sick. I'm physically not okay. Something happened where I need to recover. But rest doesn't feel like a given. It kind of feels like a luxury. Okay, another point is what we're modeling to our children, what we're showing them, what we're teaching them. So I always talk about this to parents. It's one thing to tell our kids things with words, and it's a completely entirely different thing to show them things with our behaviors and our actions. And we know that it is so true for our children, especially that actions speak louder than words. So if we are not practicing what we preach, if we are telling them it's important to take care of your body, it's important to take care of your mind and your feelings and check in with yourself, it's important to take breaks, it's important to get rest and sleep and eat well, but we aren't actually practicing those things, they are really picking up much more on what we're doing than what we're saying. So you can almost give yourself this permission of being a really great model to your children and showing them that they are worth, that they deserve taking care of themselves. I want to take a quick break from this episode to share more about my services offered at Hatch and Bloom. Whether you're seeking personalized one-on-one guidance or insightful group learning, we have the right support for you. Our private sessions provide you with the tools and strategies needed to support your child's growth. So take the next step in nurturing your child's potential and book a session with me today. Please visit hatchandbloom.co, that's .co, or you can email me at evelyn@hatchandbloom.co. Now back to the episode. Like I said, it doesn't have to be, actually most of the time it isn't going to be these really like giant monumental pauses that you're going to create. That's not very realistic for you to get up like I did, fly across the world for a week and just tune out, right? And by the way, something else that was amazing about that trip is that it was on an entirely different time schedule. So the first time that my phone would start kind of buzzing in the day, it was already 4 p.m. for me. So I really had like hours of silence every single day, which was so amazing. Because we can't just think about these really big extravagant breaks, I want you to be able to give yourself permission to include small moments frequently. I actually think often those are much more beneficial than looking forward to this one trip or this one vacation that you're taking, at the end of the year or in the summer. Small moments frequently are things like, for me, one of my things have become when I get to my house and I park my car, or when I get anywhere and I park my car, I linger the crap out of this situation. I linger in my parked car. I sit there in silence, sometimes with a song, sometimes with my thoughts, and I just kind of brace myself before entering the environment that's about to be stimulating. So taking extra time like that. Going for a walk. For me, it is my morning exercise, but also I realized that I was going into my morning exercise already so rushed and flustered. Like my tone of the day was starting with extreme anxiety. So what I've started to implement in, I would say, the last 3-4 weeks is that I wake up even earlier, which is kind of crazy because now I'm waking up between 4:50 and 5 a.m., which is very, very early. But this allows me the chance to literally slowly sip my coffee, get into my car at a regular pace, turn on the radio, back out, not drive like a maniac, and tell my nervous system, like, you are going to be okay today. You don't have to already rev up in this total stress mode to start your day. And this is something my therapist actually shared with me. She was like, don't slam the door of your car when you rush in. Don't put on your seatbelt so aggressively. The way that you actually leave your house is already cueing your body on the stress response that it should be having. So we want to teach ourselves, we want to remind our bodies, we want to tell ourselves, like, it is okay to move slow and with intention. Okay. Eating well, getting the sleep that we need, even boundaries with our kids, like not having them sit on our lap all the time if we don't want them to, telling them that we don't feel like playing right now, or that we're not going to actually go to the park at the end of the day, or setting these kinds of boundaries might feel really hard for some parents, but actually, again, they're really, really good ways of showing our kids that we value ourselves and we take care of our needs. And so this ultimately ends up giving them permission to value themselves and take care of their needs as well. So this is your cue to give yourself permission to pause. Hey everyone, it's Evelyn. Thank you so much for tuning in. Your support truly means the world to me. If you're interested in hosting a parenting workshop, I'd love to connect. Whether it's a private session for parents, a school event, or a corporate workshop, I'm here to help bring valuable insights and strategies to your community. Let's chat and make it happen. Please visit hatchandbloom.co. That's .co. Or you can email me at evelyn@hatchandbloom.co.